The night was silent until a violent gust tore across the forgotten ruins, scattering dust and broken stone. The narrator whispered that destiny often wakes with storms, and this storm carried secrets long buried. A hidden door, sealed for centuries, shuddered and swung wide with a groan, revealing a staircase that plunged into darkness. Elias, the cursed hero of 25 years, stumbled back as the air grew thick with whispers. He clenched his fist, muttering, "Not again, not the voice." From the shadows, the whisper returned, echoing betrayal and truth, forcing him to face the terror he always feared. The bell of an abandoned chapel tolled in the distance, its sound vibrating through the walls. His curse burned at the mark on his wrist, and his heart raced with dread. He wanted to flee but felt chained by fate. The storm outside was nothing compared to the storm awakening inside him, promising that the past had returned, and the kingdom would never be the same again. Elias stumbled into the ruins, his boots striking the damp stone. The voice whispered, promising both salvation and ruin. The narrator revealed his curse marked him as both victim and weapon. He remembered nights of agony when the mark burned, nights filled with visions of kingdoms aflame. Elias said, "Why can't it let me go? I never asked for this burden." His voice cracked with desperation as he leaned against the wall. The storm outside raged harder, rattling broken glass and shaking wooden beams. His chest heaved, torn between escape and surrender. The path ahead was uncertain, yet his instincts knew he had awakened something ancient. With trembling steps, he pushed forward into the corridor, unaware that every step chained him closer to a destiny he could not escape. The wind carried whispers like voices of the dead, taunting him with truths he feared. The narrator said Elias had always been an outcast, cursed by forces beyond his control. His scarred wrist glowed faintly, betraying his emotions. Elias spat bitterly. A curse or a chain? It's all the same. He remembered the king's decree that branded him unworthy, and the cruel laughter of nobles who mocked his downfall. Yet, in this silence, the ruins themselves seemed alive, responding to his presence. The air thickened, pressing against his chest, as if unseen eyes watched from every shadow. His pulse raced, but he forced himself to stand tall, determined to face the horrors of the past. Somewhere in the distance, faint footsteps echoed, but no one was there. Elias pressed deeper into the ruins, the whispers forming words he could almost understand. They spoke of betrayal, of truth long buried. He paused, heart pounding, as the mark burned with a heat like fire. The narrator explained that the ruins were once home to a sorceress who vanished with forbidden magic. Elias muttered, "If this is her legacy, I want no part of it." But the ground trembled, dust falling from the cracked ceiling, as if rejecting his denial. His curse demanded acknowledgement, binding him to forces he could not resist. He clenched his teeth, stepping into a chamber of broken pillars where the shadows bent unnaturally. In that moment, he realized he was no longer alone. Something had awakened. Something was watching. Lightning split the night sky, illuminating the chamber with violent bursts. Elias staggered, eyes wide, as the whispers became voices speaking in unison. The narrator revealed that the curse was bound to an ancient spell, one designed to awaken only with his presence. He shouted, "Enough! Show yourself!" His words echoed, swallowed by silence. A sudden gust extinguished his torch, leaving only the red glow of his curse. The chamber walls pulsed faintly, as if alive, runes flickering into existence across the stone. Elias trembled, but stood firm, unwilling to kneel before unseen masters. For the first time, his fear shifted into defiance. The storm roared above, and the kingdom's fate shifted with it. What was once forgotten had risen again, and Elias was now its unwilling key. Elias emerged from the ruins at dawn. The storm finally quieted, leaving the earth drenched in cold mist. The narrator explained that with every sunrise his curse grew heavier, a reminder of chains he could not break. He whispered, "How much longer will this mark rule my life?" His voice cracked as he looked at the glow on his wrist, still burning faintly against his skin. The distant village stirred awake, smoke curling from chimneys, but Elias felt like a ghost wandering among the living. His memories clawed at him, a father who turned away, a king who exiled him, and nights of pain under the curse's fire. He pulled his cloak tighter and walked toward the village gates, uncertain whether he sought refuge or temptation. The world seemed calm, yet danger trembled in the silence. The villagers recoiled as Elias passed through the wooden gates, their whispers sharp as knives. The narrator revealed that his curse was known, feared, and misunderstood. He heard a child cry, "Mother," his eyes burned red. His heart ached as he lowered his gaze. Memories returned of cruel words branding him a danger, a cursed soul. Elias muttered under his breath, "I am not your monster." Yet he felt the weight of their stares press against him. The smell of bread drifted from the bakery, reminding him of a childhood he once cherished before exile and shame. His curse pulsed again, faintly glowing through the folds of his sleeve, forcing him to keep moving. Though weary, he pressed forward, knowing the mentor who once guided him lived on the edge of this village. At the far edge of the village, Elias found an old stone cottage surrounded by ivy, smoke rising lazily from its crooked chimney. The narrator explained this was the dwelling of Aldric, his former mentor, a man both wise and broken. Elias hesitated at the door, whispering, "Will he even see me?" The memories of their last parting flooded back, harsh words, regret, and silence. His hand trembled as he knocked, and after moments of stillness the door creaked open. Aldric appeared, aged 57, his silver beard flowing, eyes sharp yet tired. He studied Elias with a heavy gaze, saying, "The mark has grown brighter." The words stung, but Elias stepped inside, feeling both judged and protected. The air smelled of herbs and parchment, carrying the weight of forgotten wisdom. Inside the cottage, shelves of dusty tomes and jars of herbs lined the walls. The narrator said Aldric had once been a guardian of secrets, but years of exile left him haunted. Elias clenched his fist as Aldric studied him in silence. Aldric finally spoke, "The curse feeds on denial. You must face it, or it will consume you." Elias turned away, replying, "I never wanted this fate." His voice trembled as the fire in the hearth cracked, embers glowing bright against the shadows. The mark on his wrist burned stronger in Aldric's presence, almost as if awakened by old magic. The cottage felt alive with unseen power, walls humming faintly. Aldric's eyes softened, though sorrow lingered, and he muttered, "Your suffering was not by chance, Elias. It was chosen." The cottage grew heavy with silence, broken only by the crackling of fire. Elias' chest rose with anger, his voice sharp as he said, "Chosen? You call this torment destiny?" The narrator revealed Elias' fear of becoming a weapon rather than a savior. Aldric's hand trembled as he reached for a leather-bound tome, placing it before Elias. He whispered, "The curse was forged to bind a darkness greater than you. Deny it, and you unleash it." Elias' heart sank, his throat tightening as he looked at the ancient script glowing faintly on the pages. He wanted to slam the book shut, to deny fate, but his body betrayed him. The mark burned bright red, resonating with the runes. Outside, thunder rumbled again, though the skies were clear. Destiny called, whether Elias wished or not. The morning sun pierced through the clouds, as Aldric led Elias into a clearing deep in the forest. The narrator explained that training was not only about magic, but about enduring the weight of destiny. Elias gritted his teeth, raising his hand as Aldric commanded, "Control it, do not fear it." His curse pulsed, red light searing against the air, causing leaves to tremble and branches to crack. Sweat dripped from his brow as he shouted, "It burns too much." Aldric's tone grew sharper. "Pain is not your enemy, Elias. Fear is." The cursed energy swirled wildly until Elias collapsed to his knees, chest heaving. Aldric's eyes softened, whispering that strength was found only in surrendering to what one cannot control. The forest grew silent, as if listening to their struggle. As Elias gasped for breath, a rustling broke the silence. From the trees emerged Rowan, a loyal companion of 23, lean and spirited, carrying a worn staff across his shoulders. The narrator revealed Rowan had followed Elias for days, drawn by loyalty rather than duty. Rowan grinned despite the tension, saying, "You look like you could use a friend." Elias scoffed, "Or a fool." Aldric observed quietly, his eyes recognizing Rowan's unshaken spirit. Though weaker in stature, Rowan's courage filled the clearing, making him seem larger than life. His laughter broke the gloom, and for a moment Elias felt less alone. The bond began with simple words, but it carried the strength of friendship that would shape their path forward. As the three stood together, the forest air thickened with an unnatural chill. The narrator spoke of ancient guardians that lingered between worlds, bound to prophecy. Mist swirled, and from it emerged Seraphel, a mystical guardian in the form of a luminous winged creature, neither beast nor human. Its voice echoed in Elias' mind, "The curse binds you to me." Elias stepped back in awe, whispering, "What are you?" Aldric bowed his head, murmuring, "A protector older than time." Rowan's wide eyes glistened with wonder as the guardian circled above, its form glowing with spectral light. For the first time, Elias felt the true magnitude of his fate, as if the heavens themselves had chosen him. The forest held its breath as the guardian vanished into the mist, leaving silence heavier than words. The narrator revealed that with every ally gained, danger shadowed closer. As dusk fell, Elias and Rowan sparred under Aldric's watchful eye. Rowan laughed as Elias knocked him to the ground, grinning through his bruises. Elias muttered, "You're relentless." Rowan replied, "And you're stubborn. We'll make a good pair." Their banter echoed through the twilight, their bond growing despite pain. Aldric's gaze lingered, both proud and sorrowful, whispering, "Together, but not unbroken." His words hinted at truths not yet revealed. The fire crackled at the camp they built, throwing golden sparks into the night. Elias watched the flames with conflicted eyes, wondering if friendship could survive the curse. The stars shone above them, ancient witnesses to a story still unfolding. The night deepened when a figure stepped from the shadows. The narrator said fate often wears disguises, and this one smiled with dangerous charm. Lucien, age 30, tall, dark-haired, dressed in fine traveling clothes, approached with calm confidence. "I heard whispers of a cursed hero," he said smoothly, "and thought I might be of use." Elias narrowed his eyes, muttering, "Or of trouble." Rowan bristled, gripping his staff tightly. Aldric's expression tightened with unease, though he spoke nothing. Lucien's charm masked his intentions, his words honeyed with false humility. He offered firewood, laughter, and friendship, but his eyes flickered with secrets. The narrator warned that trust is most dangerous when freely given, and Elias was about to learn the cost of misplaced faith. The narrator revealed that the road to the capital grew darker with every mile, the kingdom rotting under unseen hands. Elias walked ahead, his cloak heavy with rain as clouds smothered the sky. Rowan kept close, humming nervously to mask his fear. Lucien trailed with an easy stride, his smile concealing shadows of intent. Aldric whispered warnings, "The closer we draw, the more the curse will stir." Elias muttered, then let it stir. His mark pulsed violently, sending sparks of red into the damp air. Rowan's laughter faltered as he caught the fear in Elias' eyes. The forest ahead looked strangled by shadows, trees twisted unnaturally. Lightning split the sky, and the narrator told how this journey was no longer about travel. It was a descent into a storm the kingdom had long denied. The group reached a ruined village, its houses burned to husks, smoke still curling faintly from ash. The narrator revealed that the kingdom's heart was bleeding, devoured by enemies unseen. Rowan whispered, "What monster did this?" Aldric's face hardened, muttering, "Not a monster. A man who surrendered to darkness." Elias touched a charred doorframe, his cursed mark glowing in sympathy. Lucien leaned lazily against a broken cart, smirking. "Power always leaves corpses in its wake." His tone carried more truth than jest, but his eyes remained unreadable. Elias clenched his jaw, fury tightening his chest. The village lay silent, broken toys scattered in the dirt, doors torn from hinges. The destruction was a warning. What awaited the kingdom if shadows continued to rise unchecked? As they camped among the ruins, the night grew unnaturally cold. The narrator revealed how shadows crept between the ashes, whispering curses. Rowan huddled by the fire, muttering, "It feels like the dead are watching." Elias' mark blazed, filling the darkness with crimson sparks. Aldric warned, "The curse answers pain. Do not give it fuel." Elias clenched his fists, whispering, "Then why does it burn when I breathe?" Lucian sat apart, sharpening his blade, his expression unreadable. His eyes glimmered with interest as the cursed glow brightened. Rowan placed a hand on Elias's shoulder, offering comfort where words failed. The silence pressed heavily, broken only by fire, crackle, and distant howls. The ruins were no longer empty. They had become a stage where destiny waited to reveal its cruelty. The narrator explained that power thrives where fear lives. At dawn, Elias woke to find runes etched in the soil around their camp, glowing faintly. He shouted, "Who did this?" Lucian smirked, hands raised. "Only protection, nothing more." Aldric's face turned pale as he muttered, "These words are not of light, but of shadow." Rowan's anger sparked as he shoved Lucian. "We trusted you." Lucian laughed, his voice smooth as silk. "Trust is a dangerous currency, best spent wisely." Elias felt his mark blaze stronger near the runes, almost as if feeding off them. His chest burned with fury and betrayal, but Lucian's charming smile never broke. The morning air grew heavy, and though no swords were drawn, a battle had already begun in their hearts. The ruins quaked as if awakened by the runes. The narrator said Elias' curse was no longer his alone. It reached outward, shaking the earth. Rowan shouted, "Elias, stop!" Aldric cried, "The mark has been provoked." Elias staggered, clutching his wrist as crimson light erupted, burning scars into the ground. Lucian stepped back, eyes gleaming with satisfaction, though his lips whispered false concern. "Control it, Elias, before it consumes us all." The cursed energy roared skyward, splitting the clouds with fiery light. Elias screamed, both in agony and fury, his voice carried across the ruined land. In that moment, he realized the curse was not just a burden, but a weapon, one that others would manipulate until it destroyed him or saved the kingdom. The narrator revealed that dawn broke over shattered lands, but no light could warm the group's fractured trust. Elias walked ahead, his mark still glowing faintly, every step heavy with guilt. Rowan whispered, "You nearly burned us alive." Elias' voice cracked, "I never meant," but silence swallowed the rest. Aldric followed with weary steps, his eyes filled with a sorrow that carried years of regret. Lucian trailed behind, hiding a smirk, the flames of betrayal already burning in his heart. The ruins gave way to plains, but even the sunrise seemed twisted, its rays pale and cold. The air grew tense, as if the land itself rejected their presence. For Elias, the journey no longer felt like a choice. It was a path carved by destiny's cruel hand. By midday, the group entered a ruined temple, its pillars cracked, walls covered in ancient runes. The narrator explained that this was once a place of hope, now a tomb for forgotten gods. Elias touched the carvings, his mark flaring in response. Aldric whispered, "These runes, they bind the curse to its origin." Rowan asked, "Then this place can free him?" But Aldric shook his head grimly. The temple pulsed with energy, awakening as they entered. Lucian's eyes glittered with hunger, his fingers brushing the stone greedily. Elias muttered, "I feel it pulling me in." The air thickened, oppressive, pressing on their chests like unseen hands. The temple was alive, and it demanded truth. None of them could leave unchanged. The narrator said betrayal often blooms in silence. While Elias studied the runes, Lucian stepped forward, pressing his palm against the stone. Darkness erupted, swallowing the chamber in shadows. Rowan shouted, "Lucian, what are you doing?" Lucian laughed, his voice sharp. "What I was meant to do." The runes flared black, feeding off Elias's mark, binding him tighter. Elias fell to his knees, screaming as the curse burned like fire through his veins. Aldric cried, "He's strengthening the chain." Lucian's face twisted from charm to cruelty, revealing his true allegiance. He whispered, "You are the key to power, Elias, and I will be the one to wield it." The temple shook violently as darkness consumed the walls, the betrayal complete. The temple quaked, stone crumbling as Elias writhed on the floor, his scream echoing like thunder. The narrator explained that the curse had awakened fully, chains of red light wrapping around him. Rowan tried to drag him free, yelling, "Fight it, Elias!" Aldric struck the ground with his staff, chanting, but the wards resisted his power. Lucian stood above, his smile cruel, declaring, "You were never chosen to break the curse. You were chosen to keep it alive." Elias' eyes burned with fury, tears mixing with rage as he gasped, "Then I will break it, even if it kills me." His mark pulsed violently, shattering part of the runes. Dust rained down as the temple threatened collapse, destiny and ruin colliding in a storm of light and shadow. The narrator revealed that the greatest truths often come at the edge of ruin. As the temple crumbled, a figure cloaked in darkness appeared at its heart, the true antagonist, a betrayed ruler reborn in shadow. His voice thundered, "At last my vessel awakens." Elias staggered, eyes wide, whispering, You're the one behind it all." The ruler's form loomed, tall and armored, his face hidden behind a crown of black steel. Lucian dropped to one knee, pledging, "My lord, I have delivered him." Rowan pulled Elias upright, shouting, "We fight together." Aldric's eyes burned with both terror and determination. The air quaked, runes shattering, as shadow and curse became one. The first true confrontation had begun, and the kingdom's fate now trembled with every breath. The narrator revealed that the ruined temple had become a battlefield. The dark ruler towered before them, his shadow spreading like wildfire across the broken stone. Elias' chest heaved, his wrist glowing fiercely, red sparks dancing in the air. Rowan raised his staff, whispering, "We stand or fall together." Aldric's voice trembled with conviction. "This is the moment destiny forged." Lucian watched with hunger in his eyes, torn between loyalty to darkness and the fear of being consumed by it. Elias muttered, "I am not your vessel. I am my own." His mark erupted with light, clashing with the ruler's shadow. The ground cracked, stone splintering as power collided. The kingdom's fate trembled in the storm that had only just begun. The battle erupted, magic and steel colliding with deafening force. The narrator explained that Elias fought with desperation, his curse blazing brighter than ever. The ruler swung a blade of shadow, sparks scattering as Elias blocked with raw energy. Rowan darted forward, striking with his staff, shouting, "You won't take him." The ruler knocked him aside, but Rowan rose again, bruised and relentless. Aldric chanted, summoning runes of light, but each spell burned his strength away. Lucian lingered in the shadows, his eyes cold, calculating. Elias roared, "I won't be your weapon," as he unleashed a burst of power that split the ground in two. The temple crumbled further, dust and fire raining as the fight consumed all around them. The narrator said that battles are not only fought in steel, but in hearts. Aldric faltered, his staff shattering as the ruler's shadow overwhelmed him. Elias screamed, "Aldric," rushing forward, but the chains of the curse held him back. Aldric met his gaze, whispering, "Your destiny is greater than mine." With trembling hands, Aldric drew the shadow onto himself, his body glowing with sacrifice. Rowan shouted in anguish, "Don't do this!" Lucian smirked, whispering, "Old fools always die for nothing." Elias roared, the pain of loss igniting his fury. Aldric's final words echoed, "Break the chain, Elias." Then light consumed him, shattering the spell and breaking part of the ruler's strength. Silence fell, broken only by Elias' agonized cry as his mentor vanished. The narrator revealed that grief often births strength. Elias staggered forward, his eyes burning with fury and sorrow, his curse now fully awakened. The ruler sneered, "Your master is gone. You are nothing without him." Rowan shouted, "He's not nothing, he's hope." Elias clenched his fist, declaring, "I carry his will, not his chains, Dodgekai." The mark erupted, spreading crimson light through his veins, transforming pain into power. Rowan fought at his side, battered but unyielding. Lucian finally stepped from the shadows, pretending to aid, striking the ruler with a feigned blow. Yet his smirk betrayed his deceit. The strike meant only to test weakness. The chamber shook violently, stone collapsing around them as destiny neared its breaking point. The narrator spoke of destiny's cruelest truth. To win, something must be lost. Elias faced the ruler alone, as Rowan collapsed, exhausted. Lucian slipped back into the shadows, abandoning them once more. The ruler raised his massive blade, snarling, "You were always meant to bow." Elias' chest heaved, tears streaming as he shouted, "I was cursed, but I choose freedom." His wrist burned brighter than ever, the crimson glow exploding into pure white fire. He hurled himself forward, every ounce of strength channeled into a final strike. Light clashed with shadow, blinding, deafening, tearing the ruins apart. The earth shook, and the world itself seemed to hold its breath. The climax had come, victory or ruin balanced on a single heartbeat. The narrator revealed that when the storm of battle ended, silence ruled the ruins. Dust hung in the air like ash, the temple reduced to rubble. Elias staggered forward, his body weak, the glow on his wrist fading to embers. Rowan coughed, bruised and bleeding, but still alive, whispering, "You did it." Elias' voice trembled. At what cost? Aldric was gone, his sacrifice now only memory. Lucian had vanished into shadows, leaving only betrayal behind. The dark ruler's body lay crumbled, his crown shattered, but the air still carried whispers of lingering power. Elias dropped to his knees, sobbing, his tears carving lines through dust on his face. The narrator spoke of victory, but one bought with sorrow so deep that joy could not find its way in. The narrator explained that grief weighed heavier than chains. Rowan limped toward Elias, resting a trembling hand on his shoulder. "He believed in you, Elias. Don't let his death be in vain." Elias whispered back, "I feel empty, hollow." His wrist pulsed weakly, as if echoing his despair. Rowan forced a smile through cracked lips. "Then we carry him with us, every step." Elias looked into Rowan's tired eyes and nodded, though pain lingered in his heart. Together they stood among broken stones, the remains of the temple's silent witnesses. For the first time, Elias felt not cursed, but burdened with responsibility, heavier than ever. The kingdom still lived, but its survival was no victory. It was the beginning of another fight. The narrator said that destiny rarely ends, it only reshapes. As Elias and Rowan walked away from the ruins, the ground trembled faintly, the shadows refusing to fully die. Rowan muttered, "Do you hear that?" Elias whispered, "It's not over." His wrist glowed faintly again, pulsing like a heartbeat. He clenched his fist, swearing, "I will not let this curse rule me, I will rule it." Rowan's weary smile grew stronger. "That's the Elias I know." Behind them the ruins smoldered, faint sparks of dark energy flickering in the cracks. The narrator warned that though the ruler was gone, his power had not vanished, only waiting to rise again. Their journey had ended, but the war for the kingdom had only begun. The narrator revealed that in the heart of despair, hope can be reborn. Elias stood atop a hill overlooking the kingdom, its fields stretching beyond the horizon, its villages scarred but alive. Rowan asked softly, "What now?" Elias' voice was steady. "We rebuild. We protect. We remember." His words carried both strength and sorrow, a vow forged in fire. The wind carried their voices across the fields, as if the kingdom itself listened. Rowan placed his staff into the earth beside him, leaning heavily but smiling faintly. The burden was not gone, but it was no longer Elias's alone. Together, they would walk the road ahead. Yet deep in Elias' eyes, the narrator saw a flicker of fear, one that whispered of battles yet unseen. The narrator concluded that stories never truly end. They echo. As the wind howled across the hills, Elias raised his wrist to the sky, the glow pulsing once more. He whispered to himself, "This curse will not define me. I will define it." Rowan chuckled weakly. "Then let's make sure you live long enough to prove it." The two friends laughed faintly, though pain lingered beneath. Far behind them in the ruins, shadows flickered and a faint voice whispered, "This is not finished." The final toll of a bell echoed across the land, haunting and eternal. The camera drew back, the kingdom stretching endless beneath the sky. The story closed not with peace, but with a promise. The past had awakened, and its future still trembled.